She gets up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Write or Die Show. I'm your host, Randi-lee. On the show, we interview other writers and we talk about mental health from their personal journeys. If you have not already hit that like and subscribe button, go ahead, do that now so that you never miss an episode. Hi, everyone. I know we're earlier than normal. It's crazy. It's because I have to go to an appointment later. So we had to go earlier. So with us today, other than my little co-host here, who you can kind of see, Mr. Neo, we have Simon Yeats. Hello.
G'day.
How are you?
Very good, thank you.
And where are you visiting us from?
I'm in Florida in the States.
Florida now. Oh, it must be warm there.
Oh, it's chilly for us Floridians. Well, that's
Yes, but it's warm for me in Canada.
yeah. No. I keep on asking. I keep on asking. I've got a patient in Canada. I keep on asking them. Patient in Canada, patient in Detroit. First thing I ask, how's the temperature there? Where's the weather? Same thing with my patients in England.
Ugh,
How you guys doing?
it's gross. That's what it is. It's gross.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about who Simon Yeats is.
Well, I'm not a writer per se, but I have used writing to deal with my mental health issues and frustrations and deep-seated anger and other things. I'm originally from Australia. Grew up in a small little town, rather boring, very dry, very dusty. Um, Lots of death around with all the animals so your childhood is fairly limited in terms of running up through the bush or going on hikes or swimming in the ocean. You got to be super careful. Went to
Everything
boarding
wants to
school.
kill you there. Just everything wants to
Everything,
kill you.
yeah, even the things that don't want to kill you can kill you, just as an afterthought or as absent-mindedly. So yeah, you uh, and then at age 9, I went off to boarding school at my request. And That's when I first probably learned about stress and mental health issues with homesickness. I was incredibly homesick for 5 years of the 8 years that I went to boarding school. Like paralytically homesick.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was,
I
it
couldn't do
was,
it. I would have been homesick.
yeah, it was really I say tough. I can remember, yeah, every night lying, going to bed, just crying myself to sleep night
Aw.
after night after night for years. Um, and then finally kicked that when I was in grade 10, when I was about 15 years of age, and sort of developed some inner strength. Went to university in Brisbane, which again is far away from my family, and always loved travel. My family are from New Zealand, so we would go back to New
Mm.
Zealand on occasions, and we had one family National Lampoon's family type vacation in a minivan around New Zealand with Dad at the helm, and it was both the most traumatizing and horrific, but at the same time most liberating experience, just to see my dad going, kids, the world is your oyster. You can go and see what you want to do, live life to the fullest. I'll get a bit choked up here. That my dad, even the limited time I was home before I went to boarding school, my dad taught me so many amazing things about what it takes to take control of your own destiny and take control of your own life, and be a good citizen, and be a good person, and how the riches of the world will fall into your lap if you know and how to be, even though I'm the most negative person in the world, how to be positive, and how to uh, look at everything in a good light. And that trip was sort of like my first sort of, I still remember all the details of it.
Oh,
So
that's
I
amazing.
found out my love for travel, and then as soon as I graduated university, I came to the US, traveled around the US for 30 days, went to Whistler in Canada, and was skiing there, and
Cold.
realized that sleeping on floors wasn't quite my thing. So I managed to work out how to get a job in my profession as a therapist in the States. So I went back to Australia, got all the paperwork done, came back to the States. Was meant to be a 2-year short working trip, and then I'd go to Europe or go back to Australia and settle down. And 33 years later, 32 years later, I'm still in the States, and
Wow.
still travel. I've had the ability, had both the ability with work to be able to just drop things that I had. So screw it, I'm going off for 6 months, and just to travel and see the world. And I had one occasion where it was sort of forced on me when I was in a serious car accident, and I sort of spent 6 months in originally in hospital, then back in Australia, recovering and recuperating, and then sort of that was what I realized at that point. Shit, I can't die because I haven't been to Europe yet. So for my 30th birthday, I did a round the world trip for 6 months. Europe, Tahiti, Bangkok, India, Nepal,
You're
time in
making me
Australia.
want to go on a trip.
Yeah. No, that's literally one of my best friends in Los Angeles when I lived in Los Angeles is a travel agent who's also Australian, and he would literally call me up, mate. There's a great special going to Denver this weekend, $100. Do you want to go? Yeah, I'll go. Boom, and I would just find someone that I was somehow knew in Denver, mate. Let's go skiing for the weekend. I can get a cheap flight. And I had a mate call me up, mate. Lives in Houston. My rugby team's going to South Africa. Do you want to come? Yeah, sure. Drop of a hat,
Oh my goodness. Amazing.
Yeah.
So, because I've already read Simon's book, and yeah, you talk about going here and there and everywhere. So, I mean, there's lots of parts of the book that stick out, and we're not going to delve into the book right now. But in one of the first chapters, you talk about a kangaroo, and I'm picturing it in my head, and you're this little boy. How did I had to ask, how did you end up in the cage thing with the kangaroo? Because shouldn't the door have been locked?
Yeah, it was a really weird setup, and and it's not like it was a high fence. I mean, we're talking like the same sort of the kangaroos could have jumped over it easily if they so desired, because it was like a normal house mesh wire fence that probably came up to a waist, and probably for me probably came up to my nose, even at being 7 years old or whatever.
So yeah,
It wasn't.
very short fence.
It was not high. So it's like, just one of the things that you sort of like. I don't know whether you have them in Canada, but in Australia, you have this sort of little latch that you can sort of like nudge, and then you sort of push it with your hip, and that's what makes the gate swing open. And then you'd push it and swing open far enough, and then you'd walk through it, and then it would sort of swing back on its own and sort of click, and you'd go through. So it's one of those. So whoever was last in just sort of probably pushed it open, and the thing probably didn't swing back quite with enough oomph to get into the thing to click. Not that it couldn't have taken me 2 seconds just to go and unlatch it anyway and walk in. That was the level of security in family wildlife parks in Australia in the 1970s. I mean, I've been to, in my hometown, I've been to a croc farm, and I swear to God, they've got the same wire mesh fence around the croc enclosure.
I mean, if everything's going to kill you in Australia anyways, why lock them up? Who cares? Just
no. I mean, we Australians put an awful lot of faith in wire mesh fences as being, probably nuclear attack. Quick, jump behind the wire mesh fence, folks. We'll be okay.
I love that. I just had to ask, because that was the story that stuck out the most to me in the whole thing. It was like, seriously, how did you get in there?
No.
Anyways, so I mean, having read your book, there's so much to talk about. We're not going to cover all of it. What do you want to talk about most when it comes to your mental health journey?
Gee, that one could be rubbed in the eyes. All you can sort of say is, you're not the only person. The first thought that's going to go through everyone's head is, I'm the only person who's feeling this way, or who's suffering, or whatever. That is you immediately go to. And I work in the healthcare field, and I can tell you, everyone who comes in with a broken leg, I'm the only person who's ever had a broken leg in life. My broken leg is worse than everyone else's. No, mate, it's not. It's not even close to being the worst. And most people go, "Oh, what, really?" And you go, "Yeah, just suck it up and get over yourself. This is not that bad." And I'm very, whether you say fortunate or lucky enough to be able to, the hard people to go, "Oh yeah, who are you to say?" And I go, "Look at that, mate. See that scar all the way up my arm? Look at the scar from my chest line down to just above my what's the name. I know what bad shit is when it comes to be, and you aren't even close. And I don't even think I'm close. I've seen stuff online that makes me just go, holy crap. I've dealt with patients, and I can tell you, Mr. P. Jones of 19 Wallamloo Street, has the worst injuries that I've ever seen of everyone. So unless you can match up to Mr. P. Jones, then I don't want to hear you complaining, because Mr. P. Jones has had a rougher time than the rest of us put together. So you're lucky. And Mr. P. Jones managed to get through what he went through. So if he can do it, I'm pretty sure that you can do it as well. And that's the thing that funnily enough, I don't know whether that approach is will work for everyone, but it works for me, because I can tell you when I was depressed, really sort of felt the depression after my car accident, and I was back to Australia, and I thought my life was over. Traumatic brain injury, broken legs, broken arms, shipped back to Australia, get off the plane, straight into hospital again for more surgery when I'm in Australia, and got home, and my mum gave me breakfast in bed. The first day, as I would get breakfast in bed every day, first day home from boarding school. That was always my
treat.
My special treat to be home, and it was always my favorite breakfast, which is cheese stuff, which is mum's version of Welsh rarebit, which is just melted cheese on toast. And I loved it. And so mum gave me cheese stuff on toast in bed. First day, back out of the hospital and back home in my parents' house, and came in the second day, and she was like, lunches, breakfast is on the table, and I was like, oh, Mum, I'm got a broken arm, broken leg, brain injury, and my stomach is still wide open. I was sort of hoping I'd get breakfast in bed today and get a little bit of sympathy. And mum just looked at me and went, your breakfast is on the table. If you don't get your ass to the table, you're going to starve to death.
I like
That's
your mum.
it. And walked out of the room, and I just went, what? I wish I could talk to patients like that in the hospital, because it maybe got in the wheelchair and wheeled myself out, and I was like, hang on, why don't I talk to my patients like that? Because if I don't, all I'm doing is feeding into their freaking misery. And my life just changed at that moment to go, you know what? The more sympathy you give 99.9% of people on this planet, the more they will just go, yep, give me more. And so from a mental health perspective, the same thing. I am not let me help you wallow in your own misery or find a reason. Like it is snap out of it, and snap out of it quick, and get on with life.
Which is definitely easier said than done.
It's definitely easier said than done. But again, to have that as a starting point, to go, okay, the answer is not from someone ladling crap on me. And I can remember another time that I was going through, living away from home. You get homesick, and you get, you just sort of like, yeah, things are going well. Things were not going well for me in Los Angeles, and I was, I tend to have a bit of a whinge and a bit of a whine, and the internet had just become a thing. So I got on I started writing by writing big long emails to my mates. Oh, this is the adventure I had this week. Here I am, climbing up a mountain. Here I am, whitewater rafting in Nepal, blah, blah, blah. And got on and just wrote one of my long emails. I'm having a really tough time. Whinge, blah, blah, blah. And next day, went to the internet and had about 10 replies. All of them were of exactly the same vein, but one of them stood out to me the most from a rugby mate from Australia. Was like, shut up, stop your complaining. If you don't like it, come home. And I just went, yeah, he's right. And same thing. Yeah, I just went, what am I doing? I'm just having one of those moments where, I sort of felt like I needed to did it, which is fine. Got the good smack in the face from my mates. And I was like, yep, okay, that's just what I needed. And I, as a person, actually, when I get that over sympathizing, that over empathetic, whatever, it makes my body just crawl. I recognize it. I stand in the hospital and see it from doctors and nurses with patients, and I'm like standing there. It's not even me, and I'm like going, "What the hell are you people saying and doing to this patient? You are enabling them to." And as soon as they walk out the door, I'm like, "Yeah, you're not going to get any of that bullshit from me. This is what you need to be doing, and you're going to do it right now." And I can tell you, I'll show you a couple of videos that'll blow your mind, and you'll be like, how effective that approach is.
Yeah.
So I'll let you talk for a while I look for a video.
Sounds good. I like how you said it works for me, might not work for everybody, because that's what the joy of this show is. That's why I talk to people from around the world with different backgrounds, different mental health issues, experiences, because then you can pick and choose, try some different things. Maybe you've never tried looking in the mirror and going, suck it up. I don't know. And I've definitely, that approach has worked for me sometimes, not always, but there's been times, especially when my youngest was in and out the hospital for suicide attempts. And I'm just driving to work, bawling my eyes out because I don't know what to do. And then I look in my rearview mirror and go, all right, suck it up. I'm at work now. And you wipe it off and you go in.
As a parent, and as you know my story of
Yes,
not being a parent, that would be the hardest thing. That is my biggest fear, is that my kid has a moment like that and I can't be there to sit there and go, mate, here's how your dad dealt with it. It's okay. That kills me. And should that ever happen to him and I haven't been able to be there in his life to help him, I will go on a rampage unlike this world has ever seen. My anger and my fury at what my son has had to endure, what I've had to do, will be unimaginable. That to me is the greatest, just abomination that can be bestowed on a human being. What has happened to my son, and if he gets depressed or reacts that way because of it, I will be ropeable.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, because I've had the pleasure of reading the book, and to be honest, when you got into that part when you're talking about your son and the drama, I guess, of it all, I was like, this sounds like a friggin' soap opera. Like this doesn't sound true, but obviously it is. But you know what I mean? Like you don't expect somebody to manipulate the way that she had and then steal a child away and just ruin every little bit of anything that you had, right? Like it really sounded like a fake movie. And I'm like, whoa. And then when you started talking about that, the organization for kidnapped like parents of kidnapped kids, what was that again?
There's the international, the Office of Children's Issues in the American government that does bugger all. There is a talk with a lawyer who works with mediation for I don't know what the name of the company is, or the organization is, to help mediate a settlement between parents in my situation. And that's what I'm talking about. When the lawyers looked at me and said, "What country are they in?" And I said, "Brazil," and she just went, "Oh yeah, you're fucked."
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's pretty great that this international, organization of helping people out. And as soon as I say the country, they're just going, yeah, you've got no freaking hope. Like, this shows you just how pathetic the human race is, in terms of, why is that so? Why does that country get a free ride, to do this to a person? And and I say, I take out my vengeance on every person I meet from that country. Now this will make people hate me, and I don't care. So let me go back to what we were talking about before.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you're getting into it. So this young kid,
Yep.
okay, was vacationing at the beach in Florida and got hit by lightning. Okay, spinal cord burnt to a crisp. Every expert, you will never walk again. You will never be able to function again. There is nothing you can do, mate. You are,
You're paralyzed forever.
You're paralyzed forever. And then the family contacted me.
Oh my goodness.
And unfortunately, I can't find the one, but they've got one where the dad isn't in the video and he does it by himself. I just sort of put that together. This, let me show you this guy. This guy, where is he? Sorry for being a bit of a delay in the
That's
podcast.
all good. It's not like you knew we were going to go this direction.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. doctors declared him brain dead for 6 weeks in the hospital.
Oh
Told
my.
the family, yeah, you're not going to get any response out of this guy whatsoever. There's nothing going on. So sorry. And then again, I came along, and 4 days later,
What? Oh my.
yeah, and one of the what's name stories of how life is. So that guy was at the hospital, had been there. I'd seen him for 1 day
Mhm.
before, and then he'd shipped off to basically a long-term care center where basically, yeah, he was told every day, but yeah, your family member's going to die here. He's not going to do anything. Not going to do anything. Not going to do anything. And he could at least open his eyes.
Mhm.
Wouldn't react to anything, but he had his eyes open. Then he closed his eyes and he wouldn't open them. And they're like going, yeah, there's something. The family like there's something going on. And they was like, yeah, he's dying. Just give it up. That's the sign. They said, no, this is there's something going on. So they shipped him back to the hospital.
Yeah.
And while they were there, they're like, oh, you saw him that 1 day, and I know you gave us great hope. Could you come and see him again? And a hurricane was approaching Miami, and the doctor's like, we need to get this guy out of here because at 5 o'clock, they're closing down everything and they won't accept him after 5 o'clock. So we need to hurry up and get the paperwork done together. And I'm
Oh,
like,
okay.
no, I need to this guy has got more potential than what you're saying. Like, it doesn't matter. We're shipping him back there. And so I got the patient out of bed and I walked down the hallway past the doctors. And the doctors were like,
Oh, that
we didn't know he could.
you shared this one in your book, right?
Yes, that's one of
Yeah,
that's one of the ones in the
yeah.
book. So that's the video, because people go, oh, that didn't happen. Like, I'm not someone who could be bothered fucking lying about anything. It is pointless. If so, that is David in my book. That I got out and walked past the doctors after the two doctors have been in the room saying, yeah, no, nothing can be done. And while they were still out in the hallway, I walked in past them in the hallway, and they were like, oh my god, we didn't know we could do that. There was enough delay that we went past 5 o'clock. Hurricane shut everything down, so they could. So that was the 4 days while I was in lockdown in the hospital that I got him to walk through the lobby. And from that point, the family's like going, "No effing way, are you sending our family member to this
Yeah.
place that was quite happy to let him die the first time, and he's now back teaching physics. Loving husband to his wife. He does 5K runs. I've got a
Wow.
do I have a picture of him? Here we are. He took me out for lunch. Uh,
Oh, nice.
About that was 6 months later, a year later. But yeah, he runs 5Ks now. He was a runner before, and that was the moment. Again, where you talk about mental health, whatever, where you can imagine what it's like lying on your back, being in a coma for 6 weeks, and everyone walking in, looking down on you, and no one, talking to you or interacting with you or thinking you're of value. All I did was basically go in and sat on the bed, looked at the guy, and mate, your life has value to me as a complete frigging stranger.
Yeah.
His eyes, pupils went like that, and I
Yeah.
went. He understood everything I just said. There's no way he's brain dead.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it took. A pupil doing that.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, I remember reading that one. I was like, so it's nice to be able to put like a picture to it all.
Yeah, and they're going back to that mental health question. That's probably a good thing. It is, and don't expect that someone else has got to come along and say your life has value, or that do it yourself. Be your biggest advocate.
Mhm.
And a sad way, even though I do things differently, I use my absolute anger at my son's situation to basically go, I need to be alive tomorrow to be able to be angry at someone over my son's situation.
Yeah.
And here's where all your readers get to hate me. Every person who calls me up from Brazil, please, I have a spinal cord, I have this, can you help me? And my response is always the same. You are from Brazil. I hate everyone in your country. Go F yourself.
I mean,
that's the joy of my life.
whatever works for you. I just have to put it out there. One person, well, it wasn't just one person in your situation. There was a bunch of people that kind of screwed you, but does not equal everyone in a country. I'm just going to throw it out to the universe for everyone. But whatever works for you.
Don't expect anyone to follow my example. But you know what? Whatever keeps you going, run with it.
Exactly. You know? Whatever works for whatever is going to keep you getting up out of bed.
My girlfriend reminds me of exactly what you did every single day. And I go, yes, I know, sweetheart, but this is what keeps me going. So unfortunately, you got to give me a little bit of slack.
Yeah. How old is your son now?
He's 15.
Oh my goodness, that is old. And is it still basically how the end? Because I don't know when your book came out. Is it still pretty much?
I keep on. I go back and I like, every time something egregious again happens, or I get another ridiculous. Like I'm not going to update it, but a week ago I got a what's name from my lawyer. Yeah, my application to be able to be alone with my son has been denied again by the court in Brazil because they do not consider me to be safe or worthwhile or whatever for my son's life. So this is a friggin' Brazil court telling the father of a kid, yeah, we are going to directly impede you being in your son's life simply because you're a foreigner and you're white or whatever their rationale is, but they come up with some legal BS to write a 5-page what's name to say, oh, here are all the reasons why we can't allow, what is he saying, which is basically exactly what my ex-wife has said to them. Oh, I'm worried about this, and he's going to do this, and he's going to do that, and like so they just repeat that ad nauseum. Doesn't matter what evidence I show her. Doesn't matter that I'm like, here's the photo of the guy she hired to kill me or to kill my lawyer and to beat me up. Okay, here's the police report on that instance. When are you guys going to investigate that? It's only been 4 effing years. You haven't even gone to her house and basically asked her any questions yet. What does it take? For there to be a little bit of justice or a bit of whatever. And again, I couldn't give a crap that she wants me killed or she wants to. All I care about is my son. That's the only thing I'm focused on.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I said before, that it's like out of a movie where, and I know I've watched different TV shows where one parent kidnaps the child to the country that they're from, and then the other parent is just screwed. And I always just thought it was made for TV.
It is the element of, I sort of but went to the American embassy, went to the Australian embassy, went to the New Zealand embassy because I have citizenship and my son has citizenship in all 3 countries. They all say the same thing. There's nothing we can do. It's their country. They can pretty much do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And you go, really? That's how. What about the international law? Oh, that's just that's just written on a piece of paper. That doesn't actually apply anywhere. Oh, really? This is how the world works. This is how lawyers and the legal system operates. It's just sort of like we'll follow the laws if we want to, but if you don't want to, it's okay, and there's no real consequence. That's literally how it is. Which is why me telling every Brazilian to go F themselves because they've got a spinal cord and I can help them is pretty much the same thing. Laws don't apply to me. I just make up do whatever I want. Sorry to tell you.
And I mean, your attitude makes total sense when you've been screwed for 15 years now. What else are you supposed to do? Right? And it's not to say that you've laid down and died, not at all, because you're still helping people, you're still doing your work, you're still putting it out there in the universe, hoping to get to that good place. But your anger is pretty justified.
Okay, I think I'm not going to talk, but I walk my dogs in the morning for 15 minutes.
Well, hold on. You did not tell me you had dogs.
Yes, I got
How many dogs do you have?
2 golden doodles. One's my girlfriend's, one's mine. And that's what I say. Oh no! But just as we started the thing, when you had the cat jump up, my girlfriend came and got my dog out, and her dog was lying on the bed behind me, and I was like, no, let it lie there. She'll be fine. But then as soon as my girlfriend lets me back to her desk, Brownie jumped up and ran to the door because they spend all day with my girlfriend at her feet. They ignore me, and then at 6 o'clock when they hear me do my last patients, as soon as I say, oh yeah, okay, goodbye, they know to come in for me to take them for their evening walk.
Oh, I love it. I love puppies. I have 3 puppies and a bunch of kitties.
Yeah, so. I know that as well. That as well. I can tell you, if you get yourself a dog, you've got me. They are that is the love you'll get from a dog supersedes anything else you could possibly imagine. Yeah. Their awareness, it is not been a dog person my whole life. more through because I've never been stable enough to have a dog.
Yeah, you're always traveling.
My brother has 2 dogs. Sisters have dogs. I'm the last in the family to get on, and we just got back from our week away, and just the enthusiasm for the dogs for 20 minutes to jump all over us after being away for a week.
Yes.
It makes coming back from a vacation as much as I got to go back to work, like, oh, it's so good to see the dogs again.
It is. I know.
They
I always feel so bad going on vacation because I can't take them, and I know they're sad, and they're not going to understand why I'm leaving them forever. Because in their world, it's forever, but in ours, it's a week.
Yes.
But yeah, when you come back and they're so excited. I mean, cats are like, "Oh, you're back. I need food."
Yeah.
I love my cats, but it's not the same loving as the puppers.
No, it is unbelievable, and just their awareness. The golden doodles. My girlfriend just sent me a little Instagram thing about what it's like living with a golden doodle. It's like living with something that was invented in a lab, because they are so needy and they're so loving and they're so crazy. And it is, they are, and the 2 dogs have very different personalities. And that just makes it even more enjoyable watching the personalities change, like depending on the time of the day or what's going on. It gives us so much joy.
Yes, I definitely will agree. Get a dog.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're not allergic, and if you are, get a dog anyways.
No. And I will say, get a golden doodle because they're hyperallergenic, and
Okay,
they don't shed. I mean, my ex-wife came home with a dog one day, went out for God knows what she was going to do, comes home with a dog. And I remember being at the dog park for the first time, and there was a German Shepherd, couple of dogs, and to like stroking them, like, oh my God, all this hair, and they're like, oh yeah, you're so lucky you've got a golden doodle because they don't shed. I'm like, going, really? They don't? Like, I had no, like, that's the best thing. And they went back, did you know that they don't shed, to my ex-wife? She was like, no. Like, oh, thank God you picked the right dog, because it would have been hell on earth if we'd had
there is fur all up in my house everywhere.
Yeah,
you just wade through fur. Like, I okay, so I always like to end this kind of part of it before we talk about your book with a question that is the same but different for everyone. So the question for you is going to be, what is your piece of wisdom for someone? We've talked about so many things. What am I going to pick? For somebody who is whose family member is, like, they're being told by the doctors their family member is not going to make it, not going to do it. What do you tell the family, though, who are going through depression or grief or whatever, like all the emotions, all the mental health emotions of watching their loved one and being told their loved one that's it?
The person who told them that has no fucking idea. No one knows. This is exactly what I say. No one knows. You have a choice right now. Listen to what they say, give up, and just let it happen. And you will basically, what they say will happen because they've said it, not because it's actually going to happen. You've made it happen. People are paralyzed, not because they're paralyzed, but because everyone says you're paralyzed, and so they don't do anything about changing it. I've made 40 complete spinal cord patients walk again, simply because they said, I don't fucking think you're paralyzed. Let's see if you're not. Some people I haven't made walk again, and I every day go, oh, I wish that I knew why that person, who looked exactly the same, was able to walk by themselves, and that person, we didn't make any progress. That answer isn't being solved by the medical. They're wasting $100 million a year on God knows what they're doing. But and I don't sit there and say I know exactly what's going to happen. All I'm going to frigging do is try. That's all I'm going to do. I am going to basically think, for all those arseholes out there who did lift a finger to help my son, who's still now, I am going to throw this back in your face, okay, by going and doing everything I can to help your family member recover. If I fail, I will fail trying. Okay, but there's no finger way I'm going to stand there and just go, yeah. Every single patient gets exactly the same thing. I've got a beautiful video of a doctor standing at the foot of a bed going, can you lift your leg? And the patient goes, no. And the doctor goes, oh, you're paralyzed, you're done, and walks out the room.
Yeah.
And I'm going, that was their level of effort. Okay. I've got a video of me just got back from Portugal, where I went and saw a C2 complete quadriplegic, the same as Christopher Reeve. Okay. I stood him up. Within an hour, he was standing up with me holding onto his hips all by himself. Within an hour.
Oh.
I am drenched in sweat to the point that if I stepped, there was a pool of my sweat on the floor that I would have probably slipped on, and they just had. But that was the effort I put in for a complete friggin' stranger, who just had an unlucky accident. That is the answer. The person who says, this is a little bit extreme. The person who says you've got no hope, I would say, okay, can you get on the floor and do 30 push-ups for me? Okay, and if they go, I can't do that, or no, I'm not going to do that, you say, right, there you go. That's the level of effort of the person that you're just going to believe has just told you your family member is never going to move again or never going to be able to survive again. Okay,
I like that.
Take that to the bank. Okay, if I have a friend, for me, the biggest measure of a friend or someone's going to call up, mate, I'm moving house. Can you come help me move house tomorrow? Okay, the people who go, yep, I'll be there. What time? Versus, you know what? I've got something on. That's how you measure your friends right there. Okay, same thing in the medical profession. Look at the people who are actually going to put in an effort to make something happen. Because 99% of the medical field is basically the patient just lying there doing nothing. Everyone does something to them. X-rays, they don't have to do anything. Stick a pill in your mouth, just need to swallow. Okay, they're not having to. No one's having to. You're not having to make the drugs or investigate. You just basically lie there and you get given stuff. Okay, rehab is the only element of healthcare where you actually have to put in effort. Okay, and the person who's doing, if they put in effort, your results are going to be greater. You can go in, and I've got patients that get emails every day. Oh my God, I'm in Netherlands. No one will lift a finger to do anything with my husband. They just keep on saying how bad it's going to be. He's never going to recover. I'm like, well, why you want to send him back there then? Oh, because we've got nothing else, nowhere else to go. Go home. You're better off. At least you'll try something at home versus being in a place where you're telling me that people won't even lift a finger. Okay, wait till that's their kid. Okay. As I said, I'm prepared to piss off everyone in the 8 million people on the face of the planet for the sake of my kid. I don't care if everyone hates me over me telling everyone in Brazil to go F themselves because they've got a smile called I won't help them. I don't care. Yeah. Okay? If that gets me some attention so I get my kid back, I'll screw over everybody on the earth.
I think every parent would be in that same position, right? Like if something happened to my baby and I needed to do whatever I could to get them back, I would do whatever I could to get them back.
Yeah. Well, how do you think I make spinal cords walk again? Because I think of that for years. I thought, what happens if this happened to my kid? What happens if my kid was in that situation? What would I do as his father with the knowledge that I've already had? And what would I do? Okay. Yeah. Okay. I would do everything and anything. I would perform fucking miracles to get my son better. Okay. And all I just do is go, right, you're the lucky person who's on my patient list. I will do the same thing for you, okay, so that I get better, so that if it ever happens to my son, I can do it as that's all it is. I help people with spinal cords. I perform miracles simply because I love my son that much. That's how much I love my son.
That's amazing. So I like that ending. We're done. That's it. No. So tell everybody about your book. I mean, we've already mentioned your book a bunch of times. I've referenced it, but what is it called?
Okay, well, actually, I've got 5 books now. That here's an example of my grief. Okay, so this is my book about my son and what happened with my son, called
That's
My
the one
Second
I'm
Life.
referencing everybody.
Yeah, and I've recently changed the cover in the last 2 months ago because I literally was so angry that I put the shittiest cover on there. Just go, I don't care what the literary world says about having a brilliant cover or whatever. I'm so angry, I'm going to have a crappy cover just so again I can be angry at the world. Okay, so this is that picture is of me in the airport in Rio de Janeiro, fleeing the country for worried I'm going to be arrested because again of just lies that she told. My lawyer basically said in the middle of a attempt to see my son, get out of the country right now, go to the airport and just buy a ticket and get out of here. Okay, and that's happened 3 or 4 times. Yeah. That he's just gone, yep, she's just told something and the police are looking to put you behind bars, which they've actually done on an occasion. I've arrived at the airport, walked off the plane, and before I've even identified myself to anyone, I've come out of the toilet. Okay, I am put in handcuffs walking out of the toilet before I've even gotten to pull out my passport and I'd be identified myself. And even the guy who was checking me in was like, "Hey mate, I know what she's doing to you. I'm really sorry, but there's nothing I can do. I've got to throw you in the cell."
Yeah.
And I'm like, great. It's pretty shitty when even the people who are arresting you know that you're being screwed over and they go, there's nothing I can do. So I wrote one book. I started writing that the night I wanted to kill myself because I was just overcome with grief when I had a patient die in my arms at hospital, and I was just like, none of this makes sense. To me, he was a 25-year-old kid. Okay, the whole reason he died because the people the day before, stay in bed, you'll be okay, nothing happened. Stay in bed 24 hours, got a blood clot in his leg. I stood him up, blood clot went to his heart, dead in a heartbeat. And I just went home going, imagine if that was my kid. If they imagined that was my kid. And I just said, you know what, I can't stand this anymore. I just want to just jump off the balcony. I can't stand it. And so instead I sat down and started writing. I started writing a suicide note and just basically kept on fucking writing. I wrote all night. And that's what, became, okay, I'll turn this into the first chapter of a book. And I've rewritten it and redone it. But that's why I suddenly realized, wow, writing keeps me sane, or at least keeps me from going and hurting myself when I'm having a bad moment.
Yes.
So,
and what's it called? You haven't said the title yet. I know you've showed us, but for those who aren't watching.
Sorry, My Second Life by Simon Yeats. And then there is a on the front cover. There's a picture of my face bawling my eyes out in grey and the now because of that book and the life that I've led that you sort of get in the introduction of that book about adventures I've had. I've written 4 other books. I'm working on a 5th now.
Nice.
that are funny books to get over the grief of having to write that book. Every time I've got to go back and update that book over some other crap that's happened to me, I am depressed for a week. I am just like, I am just like, I can't stand it. I can't stand revisiting at all. It just makes me more angrier. I yell at my patients and they're like, yeah, you're having a bad. I'm like, yeah, I'm really sorry. But just every little thing they do wrong that I don't listen to when I tell them, I am like, I lose my temper like that. Because I am just like, I have a hair trigger. When over this situation with my son, it is I get triggered so quickly and so angry, and I become belligerent and impossible to deal with. So to keep myself sane, I wrote some other books that are more lighthearted and funny.
Oh, excellent.
This one is How to React When Woken at 3 a.m. by Drunken Argentinian Backpackers While Staying in the Youth Hostel, and Other Less Known Travel Tips. These are all memoirs of stories while I was traveling, or things happened at boarding school, or just life in general. How to survive making yourself look silly while dancing with the German mafia at a Bavarian nightclub, and Other lesser known travel tips. Okay. I've actually had 2 interactions with the mafia in my lifetime, and I'm the most risk-averse person on the face of the planet. How to avoid getting mugged in Rio de Janeiro by singing songs by the police, and Other lesser known travel tips. That's from when I lived in Rio for a year with my effing ex-wife. And the first one I wrote, How to Start a Riot in a Brothel in Thailand by Ordering a Beer, and Other less known travel tips. So that's just, like I say, going back to all the times of my life has been a multiple series of fuck ups and just sort of not being in the wrong place at the wrong time, but just like going, you know what, just letting life sort of wash over me and just rolling with it, and just sort of going. At the time I probably was unhappy, miserable, sad, depressed, or sort of like, yeah, the whole world's against me. And then years later coming back and writing about it, I went, you know what, no, this just made my life incredibly interesting. I can't do that about my son. I can't do that about the situation. It's not something that is to be, oh yeah, this is a something that I want to write a book about, or whatever. It should never have happened. The fact that it happens again, I know 3,000 other parents in America who have the same thing, have had the same thing happen to them. It shouldn't happen to a single parent ever. Ever. There is nothing else. We go to wars to fight for the freedoms or whatever. Why? So our kids can be taken? I'm sorry. You would expect my kid to go and fight, to so that he could come back and he could have his kid abducted. How the F does that work?
Yeah, it's totally heartbreaking, and especially when you start realizing that it is commonplace when it comes to kidnapping and abductions. It's far more likely to be the other parent than it is to be a stranger.
Yeah. Okay. And for a parent to do that, and for no one to say, I'm sorry, you're the one who's fucked up. Okay. It's not the parent who's left behind. Okay. Like who would want to willingly keep their kid from a loving I've got of the few times I've been able to go and see him, I've got picture books of the smiles on our faces. And the last thing I have from him is a video message that was sent to me 2 years ago, which is the whole reason this is, she took $500,000 from me, stole $500,000 of my life savings. Okay. And it's just gone, unless I get more money, he's not going to see his kid. That's been her attitude since day one. The court has said, hang on, you've already gotten $500,000. He doesn't have to give you any money. The moment that court order came down, what little drips of contact I had with him, yep, she said, fine. He's never seen the kid again. And no one can sit there and say, hang on, that's fucked up. You've hired someone to go and kill my lawyer and to beat me up so I never come back to Brazil again. Nothing happens to you. You're the problem, not me. Okay. I'm the one out there helping people cure from spinal cords. Okay. The fact that I sit there and go, you know what? The world chose the wrong person to steal my kid because I have medical knowledge that no one else on this planet has, and I'll be buggered if I tell anyone. I'll go to my grave knowing that millions of people are going to suffer because of this, because they haven't worked out what I've worked out. I do not care. I do not care. The world chose the wrong person to take their kid away from me. I love my kid that much. I will let millions of people suffer for years to come.
Yeah. Well, I hope, it sucks that you've lost so many years already, but I do hope, and I don't know the laws in Brazil because they seem real special. I hope that as he gets older, he'll be able to just make his own decision and come see you. I hope.
Going back to what you said, my fear is that I got this video message where he said, Dad, things are tough here in Brazil. I said, fine, son, I will do whatever I can. All I want to do is for you to be able to come and visit me, to be able to see you. And he goes, that's non-negotiable. Yeah. And I came across that video as I was cleaning up my phone the other day, and I broke down.
Yeah.
That's the last thing I have from my 15-year-old son. I don't want to see you, Dad, and that's non-negotiable. Do you think that there's anything that I could have friggin' done? Kids go and visit their fathers who are in jail, who committed murder, and they still get to see their kid.
Yeah.
My wife just wanted money, divorced, married me solely for money. Okay. And now that she's not getting what she wants, she's gone, okay, I can take this kid away from a father who loves his kid more than life himself. And he doesn't get to feel that. He's going to grow up without that in his life. So I don't care what happens to the kid. It's only what is good for me.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm still going to hold out hope for you. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed and hold out hope for you.
Thank you very much.
So thank you so much for joining us on the show. It was
thank you, Randi-lee.
Quite a roller coaster of emotions, up and down. Whew. Everybody be sure to check out the links in the description. Check out the book. Books. I've only had the pleasure of reading the really traumatic one. But I'm sure
I will talk out. I'll send you. I'll get you the copies of the other four.
Okay.
I know you're probably super busy, but you just do this short little chapters. They're just sort of not. It's not like a long narrative. It's just 4 or 5 pages of a story at somewhere, and you'll be able to pick it up and just get a laugh. Any time of the day that you need something to pick yourself up.
So sometimes you need that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
As always, thank you so much for the amazing guests that we have on the show. Be sure to check out their links down in the description below. If you want to support the channel, go ahead and check out our merch store. We've got some very cool things on there. That's my favorite. Sorry, I'm busy ending the stigma. But there's some other very cool designs. 10% of the proceeds always goes back to the Canadian Mental Health Association. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at RB Media because we have some great new shows coming up and you never want to miss any of those episodes. And remember, the only way to end the stigma of mental health is to speak openly and honestly. Bye!